I'm very happy to announce that Regis Dudena, Secretary of Prices and Bets at Brazil's Ministry of Finance, has kindly agreed to inform us remotely about the latest developments in Brazil's regulated gambling market. Mr. Dudena will join us from Brasilia through a remote video link. Please note that after his contribution, there will be an opportunity to ask one or two questions. So please use Slido for that, like before. Use the hashtag GIS, and we will have the opportunity to start to ask him one or two questions. But first, to further introduce Mr. Dudena, I would like to welcome Mateus Puva back to the stage, who you met earlier today. Mateus, thank you very much. So let's open the connection, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a true honor to welcome here the leading voice in Brazil for this most dynamic and closely watched, of course, sector and the regulatory side, Mr. Regis Dudena, due to this transformation. As Brazil builds this national framework for fixed odds betting, it faces a quite unique balance, enabling innovation, of course, and ensuring responsible gambling and strengthening oversight and, of course, delivering public value and creating a business that it's worth for the country itself. And, of course, this person is one of the center figures from this process as a secretary of the Secretaria de Jogos e Apostas do Brasil. And, of course, then it's coordinating really evolving marketing with several challenges that still on the foundational stage and will evolve during the next months because it's a fast-paced environment. So please, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Regis Dudena, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mateus. I'd like to thank you for the invitation, take the firma for having me here and the audience to hear a little bit what I have to say about what we have been done here in Brazil and what we are doing and what we intend to do in the next days or months or years concerning this new and very challenging industry that is the gambling. What I would like to say also at the very first beginning is that unfortunately I need to stay just for a short period with you. What's very sad for me because I would like to have the opportunity to stay a little bit longer, but actually I am today in Foz do Iguaçu attending a conference on gambling from CBLI, and it's important for me to come back to there. But thank you very much for having me here. What I would like to present to you is starting from 2018, when Brazil, after decades of illegality of gambling, starts a legalization process. It's very important for us to show, because for the other jurisdiction like Spain or like the most jurisdiction around the world, gambling starts normally with land-based casino and with lottery. In Brazil, we have a very traditional lottery that is legal in Brazil for all the time, but gambling and land-based casino was always since the 40s illegal in Brazil. And just in 2018, we start this new era of legalization of gambling in Brazil, but in a special and different way, starting with sport betting. For the first time, after decades, the first gambling or betting activity that was legalized in Brazil was the online sport betting, just online sport betting. Was expected in 2018 to have a more expressive regulation that was expected but didn't came. And this was in somehow a problem for us as a jurisdiction, because we have what the regulation theory called this gray area, since we have a legalized activity without a proper regulation. Just in 2023, we started really a new era of regulation in Brazil, starting with a new law. This new law was approved in December 2023, bringing some innovations. First, we have, so to say, the expansion of what was legalized, because we have also the online gaming or the casinos, the online casinos legalized also in Brazil. That was an extension of the market, a very important extension of the market. But in the law, we have for the first time also things like the express prohibition of minors to be in this environment, anti-money laundering measures, rules for sanctioning those that are not in conformation with the law and with the regulation, and especially what is very important for us, the responsible gaming measures that was in law. In 2024, we started with the regulation itself. In the first measure that the Brazilian state took was to create this organ, this institution that I am representing here, the Secretariat of Prices and Betting, as Mateus mentioned before. This Secretariat was created in January, and we start in February with a publication of a regulatory agenda that was very important to start to orient the market in order to understand what is expected to become in relation of regulation. Then we have 10 ordinances that was publicized from our Secretariat, having rules about certification, technical rules about the platforms and online gaming, a special regulation for payment methods rules, regulation also about anti-money laundering, requirements for the operators. And here it's very important because after this period without a proper regulation, we have a new understanding that the operators that intended to be in Brazil needed to be a Brazilian enterprise. That's not just for the Brazilians, but need to be here in Brazil, need to be a firm that is operating in Brazil for the Brazilian market. And that's very important for us because with that, we can start to seeing who are the shareholders and the directors, the people that are responsible for this marketing in Brazil. We need to have the indication of the origin of the capital that are brought to Brazil and people that we can be the enforcement against concerning all these rules that was set before. Then this law from 2023 has the provision of adjustment period that ended in December 2024. And then that's why we say always market in Brazil has properly started on January 1st, 2025. We have almost 6 months of a new market, a new regulated market, and that is very, very important for us because, as you probably know, although this sector is able to bring a lot of good things concerning the economic way of view, we have also possible problems that come with, especially about the mental and financial health of the people and concerning the money laundering. Now that we have really this regulated market, we have 2 kinds of challenge in Brazil. We have already 72 licensed operators operating in Brazil from the national point of view, and that is also something that is different. As I saw, for example, in Spain, we have different kinds of licensing from the national level and from the state levels. In Brazil, it's quite different because we have the possibility to have a licensee in the national level, which allows you to operate in all around the country on online gambling. But we have also the state level licenses that allowed the operators to operate, but just in the boundaries of the states. That is very challenging, but as you probably know, we have already technology that enable us to do this kind of control, and that is very important to have this kind of coherence of the system of this regulated market, since we have more broad operators that is under our regulation from the national level, and the states that have also their licenses have this possibility to control and to be responsible for the licenses in the states. What I also would like to share with you from this point of the time is that we have a new regulatory agenda that is also publicized in order to orient the market to see what we intended to do in the next days, in the next month, in the next 2 years. And that's the way we think that we can do better, especially for people that are engaged in this activity in Brazil, but also for the market that want to put their money, to invest in Brazil in this sector, to have this kind of security of legal and economic security to invest in Brazil in this sector. I really think that this kind of plan is very, very positive. Today we have two kinds of challenging. The first one is to make all the market that is already regulated be in conformity with the regulation. That is really a first very important challenging, and I do believe that we are in a very good way to do it, because people that are investing in Brazil and people in Brazil that are also in this marketing has already understood that we truly have a regulation that need to be fulfilled. But we have a secondary problem that probably is also a problem in Europe, in Spain, that is the combating of illegality. We know that we still having operators without licenses that's still operating in Brazil, especially from outside, but with their websites in Brazil, operating in Brazil. And here we have three ways to tackle these illegal operators. The first, we're still doing some kind of identifying the domains and shutting down. The second way that is very, very important for us, we are engaging in contact with the platforms and social media to tackle also the advertising and publicity in their social media. That it's very important for us because, as you probably know, when we are talking about the illegality on online, the most important way to channelizing bettors in the illegality is through these links that are at disposal in social media, in platforms of search. And the third, and for me, one of the most important one, is in financial market. We have a very interesting prohibition in Brazil that is directed for the financial market service suppliers, that is this prohibition of doing transference for betting in illegal operators. And that it's very interesting because we started to understand who are these financial systems providers that's still operating with them, and we are starting to engage in our role of regulators also for these operators in financial market. Is very challenging, as you probably know, because they normally are regulated just from the central bank. But when we are talking about betting, now we have new, so to say, regulation that are responsible not for the whole activity of these banks, but specifically when we are talking about betting, online betting and online casinos, we are responsible also for regulating them. Then that is in general what I prepared to show you for in this short time that I have disposal. I still at your disposal if you'd like to make these 2 or 3 questions. But thank you very much again for having me here.
Thank you very much. We have a... Thank you. And we have space for some questions here, some two or three questions.
Okay. 1 second, Mr. Dudena. We're trying to work out which screen the question will appear. For sure on this screen here.
Okay, so what is your biggest regulatory priority right now? So
I really have difficult to pick just one. But I need to say that at the same time, to make the licensed to be in conformity with the regulation is the first one. But really close to second first one, that would be the combating of illegality. Because actually the most important thing for us is the idea of responsible gambling. And when we took this challenging to protect the bettors, to protecting the game, in this market, it's very important also to tackle the illegal operators. Then I would say trying to find this priority, my personal and institutional priority is actually to protect the bettors, to protect the people that are engaged in this activity. And for doing that, I think that it's necessary to look at these 2 ways. In one hand, trying to do the licensing to be in conformity with all of the regulation that we set up before, but also to engage more intensively in combating illegality. Then that is what I would point it as my biggest regulatory priority.
Second question. What are the next steps on the advertising restrictions proposed in a draft bill?
Yeah, that's important to be pointed because, as also you probably know, in Brazil we have, I think like in Spain, we have the legal dimension of the law, and we have the regulatory dimension of the sector. When we think about the advertising, we have already in this law from 2023 that I mentioned before, some restriction, especially concerning minors and concerning the message that you send, saying, for example, that is forbidden to say that gambling are going to make you rich, make you a better person, that need to be oriented just saying that betting is just a way of entertainment, is not investment, so long and so forth. we have already that in the legal level. In our regulatory level, we have also more restriction concerning those that are engaged in this activity. But what we have in this bill that probably was mentioned in the question is the idea from our Congress that maybe would be a great idea to prohibit advertising in general in televisions, in newspapers, and so on and so forth. I need to say that the Congress is competent to do what they like to do. It's important for us as the executive branch of the state to understand that what the Congress is doing, and if the bill passes, we need to be in conformity also with what the law says concerning advertising. From strictly a technical and regulatory point of view, I would say that at this point of the time, when the marketing are just starting, when the first time we have really the tools to identify those that are licensed, that are in conformity to be in the market, I really think that could be a problem to have a full prohibition of the advertising, for example. I need to say that I understand the concerning from those that intend to do this kind of prohibition, normally associating the activity of gambling with others products like tobacco, like alcohol, which in Brazil have very intensive advertising restrictions. But I do believe that this kind of restriction at this moment of the market could be a problem, because at this point, it's important for those that are intending to engage in this activity to be able to recognize those that are licensed to be there, that has the authorization to offer betting online. If we don't have this kind of advertising, it's possible that it's make the life of those that intend to play a little bit more difficult. But as I mentioned before, what we are here to do is to be in conformity with the law. If our Congress intend and approve a bill doing some kind of prohibition, we are here to just follow what our law says.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Mr. Regis Dudena, and it was really a pleasure to have you. Please.
And thank you very much for joining us in this busy day, and hope to see you next year live here or in another place. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you again, Mateus. Thank you again, Willem. Was a very pleasure to be here. I'm sorry to not be there because it would be nice to be in Spain again. I just have vacations in Barcelona 4 years ago. I would be happy to be in your country, but I'm happy to have this opportunity for this short presentation. And here in Brazil, we stay in your disposal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Also, Mateus, thank you very much for moderating and assisting with this. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.